So I think one of the most important things is, of course, improving on those things that may have actually distracted fans from the first game. So part of it, for example, was the story. Some fans just couldn't get behind Alex and couldn't get behind his story. But with this story, it's much more emotional, as you could see, right? The whole idea of family loss and everything. But yet we tied the story into kind of what happens with Alex, because we still want our hard-out fans to actually really enjoy that. And then the other part was the accessibility of the game itself. The first game, I think we made it was a bit difficult in many areas. You kind of had to be pretty hardcore to get through some of them. And you know, fans at some point, if they can't get through a place, or if a place actually unfairly treats them, so if they die and didn't have any way to really not die or get away from a situation and control the combat, then it gets very frustrating. So we wanted to remove player frustration and really substitute it with challenges. You know, if a player doesn't succeed, it's because maybe, you know, they need to work at something a bit more, or because they took risks themselves. Right? We want that to be in the player's hands. So we did a lot to make the controls intuitive, to make the combat fair, and also to make it strategic so that players had it in their own. So, you know, we hope that the story, the revised combat, the much more beautiful world and much more living world maybe brings more fans in to want to play the game.
How has the development process been if we compare it with the first one?
Right, so you know, the good part about Radical, because we're around for 20 years, is we've developed a lot of very strong processes around the development of video games. And we'd written the engine Titanium ourselves in creating the first one. But what we knew already was that we could change those processes, get more efficiencies out of them, revise them to be able to create the game that we have now, to improve it vastly. So for example, in rewriting the graphics system, that was a huge improvement in the game. Right? Visually, you saw it looks incredibly in comparison to even the first, and quite incredible for an open world game, where you know you've got to worry about streaming everything in, so there's a lot of constraints and memory constraints. So we really tried to push more out of it. And then things like the smart nodes, the ability to have characters that interact with each other and the player interact with them. You know, you could just walk around the world and watch people and see what they do, and it's actually just a lot of fun doing that as well. So those are just like two of just the many things that we improved in going from the first game to the second.
How do you keep the balance between freedom of action and at the same time stimulate the player to progress in the story?
Oh, exactly. So, you know, the one main thing we've done for the story is if you want your major powers and major abilities, you will have to progress through the story. And progression through the story also unlocks the zones as well. So, you know, really, if you want to mess around in the open world, you certainly can. But if you want to mess around with specific powers or in a specific zone, you really need to focus and follow the story, because it will drive you through it and open those zones as well. So, you know, I enjoy doing both. But the part for me is that I want and anticipate the new powers, the new zones, the new things that I can see, and then I want to play, and then I want to go do the next one, and then play again. And then once I have those powers, I can now go through all the zones and play in the sandbox all I want, as long as the sandbox is alive. Right? If I go into a world that is empty or there's nothing to play with, that's no fun. So there has to be things to play with. And it has to be interesting. And that's the other part as well. Yeah, the hunting is one of my favorites, because you know, we really wanted to make this character proactive. You know, kind of in the first game, Mercer was told what to do by many people, instead of really working with them to solve things. And hunting was one of the way we could actively do something with the character. Because so many times in games they say, find so-and-so, and there's a marker on the mini-map. Okay, go through the world, find the marker, there he is. But we kind of got the idea of sonar from, you know, if you look at bats, you look at how even submarines use it. And we thought, what a cool idea if you could try to find someone in a bigger open world. And really it came down to, could we visually pull it off so it made sense and it was intuitive and felt great. So we really iterated on that concept. So I would love to see it continue on in the franchise. I would love to do another prototype. That comes down to our fans. You know, our fans bought 2.1 million copies of the first game. Let's just do the second. If they really love this one, it gives us a great opportunity for the next
It
one.
will be it's a prototype 3?
Oh, like I said, I would love to. So it all depends, right? But we'll see. We'll see if there is one, and we'll see what it is. But it's not that it hasn't escaped our thoughts. But no surprises.
Why did you design prototype 2 as a single player experience?
Right. So you know, we knew that we had a ways to go from the first game in improving the experience. And for us, it's been about that protagonist and the virus impacting a protagonist. So it's always been very much a single-player story. And when it comes to the open world, there's so much to do that for a single player, it's more than just the story mode and the open world mode and the sandbox. So it's such a large experience And the other part, quite honestly, is we did talk about multiplayer and did talk about co-op, and what we realized is if you're going to make a multiplayer or co-op game, you have to design it from the outset to be that kind of game. You know, designing a single-player game and adding multiplayer or co-op is the wrong way to go. And we've seen people fail doing that because it creates an experience which is just, nothing much,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing I've seen is we have seen some third-person open-world games do some great multiplayer, but we haven't necessarily seen the kind of success and adoption by players as we've seen for things like first-person shooters like Call of Duty. So in many respects, you know, if you're going to put your resources there, you're going to want it to be successful. And I haven't seen anyone really crack that yet. Now, will we in the future? We will always talk about it. But unless we have a design which makes for a great multiplayer, it doesn't make sense to go in that direction.
Can we expect other initiatives to expand the game universe to other media?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, certainly at the Dark Horse Comics deal, which is fantastic, what I really like about that deal is that it's going to tell the story in between the two games, right? So all the fiction, all the things that were in our minds that took us from the first game to the second can now be realized, right? And the Dark Horse guys are fantastic, so we're really happy there. You know, the other media we've done is, of course, we've released even videos ourselves, and I'm thinking we're going to see even videos created by our fans that actually expand the world as well. So I think you're going to see it through the print, you're going to see it through comic books, you're going to see it through videos as well that we release, have been released, that others have even released on top of it. So, you know, it's very, very exciting because it just expands the whole entire experience.
And maybe a movie?
You know, I would love a movie, so I'll put it out to anyone who wants to make it to come talk to us. It would make for a great movie, especially now when you see everyone kind of enjoying movies like Contagion and the Walking Dead TV series, which is one of my favorites. So it would be cool.
Movie adaptations.
It has to be done well.
From video games.
Yeah, I want someone good doing it. So
I only like Silent Hill.
Silent Hill is great.
Yeah.
You know what? We'll see. If we ever have the opportunity and it's somewhere we can do and make it really good,
It would be
then it would be great to do.
good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you know, right now our studio is so focused on making the games, and our studio is not a film company. So we would definitely need a great film partner in order to do something like that.